Hello guys and welcome back to my channel where I present you budget decks that try to stay under the budget of like 50 to 80 bucks, which I think I've managed with this deck somewhat in a sense depending on what your extra deck wants to run or what you want to run in your extra deck. Other than that, it's a bit of an odd deck. If you're really looking for like hardcore trickster deck, I think you wouldn't be here because you probably typed this in because you want to see this. You're really looking forward to a deck profile like that, and I'm trying to kind of make this kind of stuff happen. It's not as easy as I thought, making a link summon focused trickstar deck, even though they mainly only have link monsters. They have one fusion, but we'll not let that count here. Other than that, it's really not easy though to make this deck work with link summoning rather than control burn kind of type way. But I've tried it. This is a try on a go secondary. Obviously, you can fine tune a little bit with the kaijus, with the hand traps, and so on. I played it a little bit gimmicky. You can already see Clashing Souls, which is really strong. Like, don't get me wrong. If you get this card off, this is possibly game over for your opponent. And if there's a deck that can consistently get this off, then it's definitely Link Trickstars. But it can break sometimes. Maybe you want to cut it down to 2, play one more hand trap, and so on. There's a lot of things that you can do. But about here, we are starting with double Kumongus, this sticky string kaiju. I think it's the cheapest one with the lowest attack points. Like Gamma Seal is not, definitely, if I'm not mistaken. So you want to run this. You want to run double Korobane. That's one of the cards where it gets priced. You don't have to run Korobane. You could substitute this with something else. Maybe like a special summoning fairy monster, so you can go into cards like Foxglove Witch or something. Because I think this card is somewhat pricey. It's pretty good. You could technically play one Honest and stuff like that as well. It's exchangeable, but it's good if you can run it price wise. Trickstar Candina doesn't cost anything anymore. Is a pretty good searcher. Even better when you have Licorice in hand, because then you can dodge targeting negations for that one. So that is pretty neat. And all in all, there's a lot of stuff that you can do with this card, so you want to max out on this. Licorice is just a free special summon if you have multiple in hand, so you get some more board presence for your link with monsters. And there's one neat combo with Lilybell. If you ever hard draw Lilybell or you don't have any other normal summonable monster, you can bounce Lilybell back to your hand with Licorice, and Lilybell special summons itself because she's added to your hand. Which counts as that as well. So that is pretty neat, so you can get quite the advantage in with that from time to time. Triple Ash Blossom, just because it's somewhat pricey, it's a cheaper hand trap than most of them these days. You could run Ghost Ogre if you want to, but I guess that's matchup dependent. If you really want to save a few bucks here, obviously run a cheaper hand trap than Ash Blossom, because it still costs like 5 to 7 bucks if I'm not mistaken. And Lilybell already talked about it, getting some 800 damage in, making basically Clashing Souls live with this. Also a good thing, recovering cards from the graveyard, pretty nice. One card that you don't see in a normal Trickstar deck is Trickstar Nightshade. That's when it starts getting a little bit more link focused, because if this card is sent to the graveyard as a link material for a link summon of a Trickstar monster, which mainly you will do, you can special summon this card, banish it when it leaves the field, doesn't really matter, but you can special summon her back, so that's how you get kind of an advantage. You run 1-for-1 basically for this card. Technically, you could summon Effect Veiler as well, and you could technically put a Synchro monster into this extra deck. There's still one space because I had to remove Ball Sword Dragon in a sense, like you know, a Ball Sword Dragon is not affordable yet. I think it's getting a reprint though, not sure how much cheaper it'll make it. We will have to see about that. So that's the open space. Put a Synchro monster and put whatever you want into this deck. I don't mind as long as it works for you, but this card gives some recovery play. You could run it at 1, but if you then draw into 1-for-1 after you drew into this card, kind of useless. I still could get Effect Veiler out, but you know what I mean. Triple Effect Veiler, cheapest hand trap with the best value in my opinion. It's pretty good. I still think the trap card Infinite Permanence is a little bit better because Caught by the Grave and stuff isn't hitting you that hard. But for that price, you could basically get 100 Effect Veilers if you want to pick up a playset of a Permanence. So, you know, we're taking that one. We're definitely taking that one. 1-for-1, basically for Nightshade, because it's a 1-card monster play. Plus, getting cards into the graveyard monsters isn't always bad in this deck because you can recycle some cards. Technically, you could play cards like Trickstar Mandrake in 1, but it's not coming up as much. I tried it. It's not as good as you'd think it is. Double Paw of Desires. Paw of Desires, basically a cheap card these days. You could run triple, cut down one Clashing Souls. I think at 2 in this deck, it's fine. because there's some cards you don't want to banish. For example, you don't want to banish Lilybell, so it can hurt you a little bit from time to time. Double Foolish Burial Goods, this is where like a little bit of spice comes in, because I found out Trickstar Reincarnation, the first effect is pretty good for the competitive one, but the second effect is super good for the Link one, since it's not like have to wait a turn and it's not once per turn. If you get this card into your graveyard a lot, then that is actually pretty good, because you can constantly reborn stuff. You can even reborn Link monsters because you don't have to special summon a defense or anything like that. So getting this card into the graveyard with Double Foolish Burial Goods is quite neat. Only double because you don't want to get two, because you can only activate once per turn, and it's a play starter, but it's not an essential playmaker. So running more, like 3 would not be as good. You would want to run triple terraforming, but you can't. So there's that. But you have 3 different field spells. So you definitely want to run terraforming. 1 monster reborn, basically for getting your cards back. It's quite essential that you get your monsters back from your graveyard in this deck. So is what Legacy Succession. You don't have to run it. You could substitute it with, like, let's say second Trickstar Magical Laurel, but if you have it, or if you can spend the money on it, then do so, because this card adds a lot to the deck, because this card is once per turn. Clashing Souls, clearing your opponent's board, getting more damage in with that, making him maybe pay life points, which you probably won't. Like, you have to decide, can I win this pay battle or can I not? If you can't, then don't even try. But then his whole board is wiped and he is wide open. So this card is pretty strong in Trickstars. All you basically have to do for this is have more life points than your opponent. And you kind of achieve that a lot with Trickstar Link monsters, I'll tell you what. That card basically reborning cards. You can put the, like, if the equipped monster inflicts battle damage or effect damage to your opponent, you can special summon one Trickstar monster from your hand. Can come up, but mainly your hand doesn't have that many Trickstar monsters, so it's, yeah, I don't know. It's good to get Lilybell back and stuff like that, maybe Licorice, but in general, it's, the effect is good, but it's not super good. Plus, you can search this card, so at 1 is fine. Trickstar Light Stage at 3, because searching is basically everything. Gets you free Lilybell on board if you need to. Gets you Candina, gets you Licorice, gets you Corobane. Basically gets you everything. If you really want to play one Mandrake, then you can do this, but I felt like it wasn't as good in this kind of deck. Trickstar Life Stage, basically a Link play enabler, easily searchable, so you only need to run it at 1. I think it's somewhat pricey as well. It's not super pricey because people stopped playing it. At the start when it came out, it was a little bit more pricey, but I think that tuned down a little bit. But you can basically get free 2 free monsters on board. Yeah, you can only summon Trickstar monsters then, but you kind of know at this point already what you can do. You have to just watch out with this card and Kaijus, because if you put a Kaiju on board, you can't use this card, so maybe that's also a reason why only on 2 Kaijus and not more in this deck. But other than that, this card is pretty strong. You can still add Trickstar from your graveyard to your hand, which can be quite neat as well. Also triggers Lilybell, so there's that. You have a lot of plays for this card. 1 Trickstar Light Arena. It helps the cause. It feels more like a weaker version of Life Stage, to be completely honest. It looks worse than Life Stage as well, in my opinion. By filling summon a Trickstar monster, you can target 1 Trickstar monster in your graveyard that's used as a material, special summon in defense position, so you can't use links. That's the first point where I'm like, meh, but negate its effect. Second point where I'm like, where are all of those restrictions really necessary? You can only use this effect, Trickstar Arena, once per turn. Fair, obviously. On once per turn, you can target 1 set card in your opponent's spell trap card zone. This card is in the field zone. Your set card cannot be activated, and it goes back to his hand. So it's a worse effect than the Light Stage, basically. So this card in general isn't that good, but it can help you a little bit more if you actually search it off, and if you already don't need another Light Stage and stuff like that. Running at 1 doesn't hurt your deck too much because you have plays with it, but it's just not super good. It's just okay. Like, it does basically what Nightshade does, and yeah, you can cut it if you want to, but it came up sometimes, so leaving it in. This card, since you're going second, the first effect doesn't matter too much. You can still use it if your opponent still searches and stuff like that, but mainly the second effect matters. And you can, I think if I'm not mistaken, you can discard it with Crimson Heart. I don't know if it has to be a monster. No one Trickstar card, so that comes in handy a lot. Crimson Heart, in general, a card that you shouldn't underestimate in I don't know. Yeah, it gives your opponent a card, but still, I think it's quite neat. Talking about the extra deck, one Bolo Dragon. Obviously, you can play Bolo Sword. This deck spams monsters quite good, so get Link monsters on the board isn't too bad. Here another card where I was like, is this card good? Is this card bad? But I think it's actually better than you think. First of all, it's a Link 4, so it's already quite a lot of effort, especially for Trickstars to go into there. But while this Link monster points to no monsters, it is unaffected by other cards' activated effects. That is strong. That is just, if you take this effect away, this card is trash. But being unaffected by activated card effects is really, 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 really strong. So your opponent has to get over it by battle. And for this, you basically have Korobane as well. So in total, quite neat. If it points to no monster, you can inflict 200 damage to your opponent for each Trickster monster in your grave with a different name. Super good as well in this kind of deck. This is like you already did some Link plays and you want to finish on this card. Maybe your opponent can't get rid of it. You make a lot of damage, put a lot of damage on board, and then next turn kind of repeat a little bit what you did the last turn. So this card can be quite neat. One Deco Talker, just generic Link 3. If you need it for climbing or anything, then you can do this. A Trickstar Foxglove, which is a strong card, and weirdly the only Link monster of them that only requires fairy monsters. Not sure, because I think the effect is quite reliant on Trickstar monsters. But you can inflict 200 damage to your opponent for each card they control, which is pretty nice. You could run this in fairy decks if you ever want to, but I don't know. I think the effect is pretty strong if your opponent has quite the board, so you want to obviously do it before Clashing Souls. Getting like up to 1000 damage in possibly is always neat. And if this card is destroyed by battle card effect, so you can always ram it into something, you can special summon a Link 2 or lower Trickster monster from your extra deck, and then inflict again 200 damage for each card they control. So this card has a damage potential about like 2000 to 3000 damage, depending on how many cards your opponent has. So that's why I run it at 2. It's quite neat. You can bump it down to 1, but it doesn't cost anything. Your extra deck isn't really, the space isn't really tight. You run a lot of doubles, so you don't really need to. So there's that. Double Trickster Holy Angel. That's basically your playmaker during your turn. Every time a Trickster monster's normal special summon to zone this card points to, you inflict 200 damage to your opponent, and this card gets crazy attack value. So you always want to make sure you get this card first, and then start basically spamming out your tokens, your other kind of stuff. So this card bumps it up a lot while dealing a lot of damage, actually. Sadly, you can't really revive this card with this card, because then the effect maybe would come in handy at one time. But it's since the arrows point downwards, you will never get your effect off if you actually summon it from the graveyard. So that is not an option, but definitely you want to do a lot of shenanigans with this card. Trickstar Bloody Mary is, or Crimson Heart as I call it on TCG now, was a Shonen promotion card if I'm not mistaken, but I think got reprinted. So this card is fairly cheap to pick up at the moment. So I would recommend doing it. Being able to maybe draw 2 cards can be super nice. Getting you into more Link plays, and the discard can help you as well in certain situations. If you want to, for example, use the life stage, or if you need a target for Lilybell, or if you want to get your incarnation to the graveyard, this card does what it should do. Black Cat Bat has a neat effect if you need to beat over something. So Link 2 points to the side, so it opens up more space. And each time monster is destroyed by battle or card effect and it's into the graveyard, doesn't matter, this damage will basically not come up. But each time your opponent takes damage by a Trickster monster's effect, face up monster they control lose 200 attack for each monster this card points to. So if you have a monster card that points to this, then you can reduce with Holy Angel your opponent's monster attack by a lot and make an OTK more likely. It's not coming up super much, but it could come up, so I would definitely look into this card. A Nightmare Phoenix, classic, don't have to talk about that much. Whatever that name is, Divarides, I don't know, is a little bit specific. It's 2 level 3 or lower Trickster monsters. So you would have to use Lilybell, Nightshade, or Licorice. You cannot use those 2 for it, whatever that is, I don't know. But this card is, if you ever have to go first, can be quite neat. Plus, if you can't quite finish your opponent off, you put him on a clock in a sense where it's like, if he special summons, you can inflict 200 damage to your opponent. So it's quite neat, or normal summon as well, but it only happens once most of the time. So that is quite neat. Plus, when this card gets special summoned, deal 200 damage. If you're ever 200 or 400 short and you have a field spell up, then go for that. Don't have to talk about Cerberus, obviously monster removal, and double Trickster Bloom, double because it helps you going into cards like Holy Angel, like triggering the effect maybe multiple times if you reborn stuff with Reincarnation, like you use like Nightshade twice, for example. You have Nightshade in your graveyard, get it off with Reincarnation, then get it off with its own effect, and then go into those ones. So you actually get a lot of special summons out. So this can be quite neat. The effect of this card, you don't really use that much. I mean, you can, but if you could activate this effect, it would maybe be neater. But since it has to be destroyed by battle or card effect, like Face of Trickstar has to be destroyed by battle or card effect to trigger the effect, not necessarily that great. Plus with 100 attack, you don't want to leave it on board either, but it helps going into certain plays. Other than that, let's quickly run over the other ones. Redode is, you can, first of all, you have to normal summon this card, or like special summon it by any means, whatever. Not that good. You can discard on Trickstar card, target Trickstar Link monster, and give it special summon. It isn't bad, but since you'll basically not get this card off, because you already have quite a normal summon that you want to basically get out every game, which is Kadena, since you can search it so easily in the deck. Running one wouldn't hurt you, but it's unlikely. I'd rather do the Lily Bell, the Licorice combo than actually use this, because for this, you then still need some more setup. You still need a Trickstar card in hand. It is hard. Another one is the Narcissus, which is okay. Your opponent takes effect damage. You can special summon this card from your hand. You could decide to run one of them instead of any other card if you want to instead of one Clashing Souls or whatever, because your opponent will take damage, so you can special summon it. It's okay. Like, you could do it. I felt like it wasn't too helpful. You could do it. And Mandrake, you can special summon it if it's discarded. It only comes up with Crimson Heart. You have to basically make a lot of setup for this. Yeah. Plus, the whole second effect of destroying a Link monster the card points to is that never comes up. That's impossible. That's nothing you want to do. So I feel like this deck works out pretty well as a Trickstar Link deck. I have tried it a little bit. I have won a few duels with it. It's not super competitive, but I guess you knew what you were in for when you actually looked for this. Hope you enjoyed the video. Leave it a like, comment. Please subscribe to my channel for more budget content. I always keep the decks quite cheap for you guys, and I hope you have a good day.